Hi guys, it's Regan from Concourse Marketing, and in today's video we're going to go over what industries need SEO the most in 2022. So the first industry we're going to talk about is the professional service industry. Now this includes everything from lawyers to marketers, architects, accountants, financial advisors, engineers, IT consultants, and much more. So this industry, it covers quite a lot. The reason it's lucrative and SEO can be more impactful for that sort of industry is simply because the lifetime value of these clients that these service industries actually attract. So if you just look at one of them, for example, look at a solicitor's average client, you're looking at a range of £450 to £950 if a client is a petitioner for a divorce, for example. Then you've also got like the estate agents, another big one in the actual professional services industry, where you're looking at conveyancing fees, and to purchase a product you could be looking at £1,100 when buying a product, or £660 from a customer or a client when selling a product. So the big thing here, again, with business law, you could be looking at £2,700 to £3,800 just for a tier 2 visa application. So the big thing for the professional service industry is the amount of value that they can get from each client is so high that they need to be in the search engine results pages and be competing locally. So next on the list would be the medical industry. Okay, so yes, a lot of these are going to branch into that professional services, but the medical industry needed to be a separate industry all on its own. And the reason for that, again, is lifetime value and how important location can be for these services. So when we're talking about location, we can look at the map pack, for example, and we can look here, we've searched for private dentist Darfield, which we can see located here. And you can see in the map pack, you're getting 3 options. So how important for somebody who lives in this location is it going to be to rank in this map pack, where it takes 1 click to go on the website or 1 click to get directions. You've also got reviews displayed just here, where you can see how credible this service provider is, or medical provider is, and how important that would be if somebody's looking for a dentist in that location right now. Now, also just to mention, we've got healthcare problems, symptoms, and self-diagnosis to consider. So a big part of SEO and becoming a medical expert is that people like to get educated on the problems that they have. So if you're looking, for example, on this search term, pain when I swallow is a very popular search term that's searched up to 3,600 times just in the UK. And you can see the sort of questions that also vary, such as chest pain when I swallow, pain in my chest when I swallow, pain in my head when I swallow. So these are all questions people are asking relating to health concerns, where you want to position yourself as the healthcare expert and answer these questions via blogs, and build the trust and build the authority up, so that you're the trusted medical expert when the time comes for them to make a visitation and actually get a diagnosis that goes beyond just educating themselves online. Now, we've all done this when you're feeling poorly, or where you've got a certain pain or ache. You go to Google, you search on Google, what could be the reason for it, and oftentimes you get worse answers than it usually is. But the importance of being the person who provides that answer, you could then go on to acquire that person as a client. And healthcare can be a very lucrative field in terms of how much things cost. When you look at like a hip replacement, you're talking thousands of pounds, for example. So this is why it's more important for the healthcare industry and also the medical industry to be on top of their SEO. So next up on the list is real estate, removals, and renovations. Now, we've sort of compiled these into the same industry. They are very different industries, but they all touch upon the same reasoning for why it is important SEO is done professionally for these different business types. So example, SEO for estate agents. We know that 44% of home buyers start with a Google search. So this statistically we know. So someone who's looking for a house, where are they going? Google. Okay, so if you're trying to sell a house or you're trying to let out an house, it's important that we're considering 44% of all people who buy a house start with Google in mind. Also, we need to consider the cost of an average house being around £256,000, and estate agents receiving an average of 1.18% plus VAT for the sale of that house. So it's also very lucrative and finding buyers right when they need to. So another important factor there is the timing. So if somebody's searching for property in a certain area, you know that the timing's perfect for that person. They're a very qualified prospect and they're somebody that's looking to purchase a property right now. With other marketing methods, when you're trying to sell a property, it's very hard to get the timing right. So you're talking to the person right as they're potentially ready to purchase a property. And that's why SEO is incredibly valuable just for estate agents. Now, moving on, just in terms of other aspects and other services around housing, you've got the removals business. It's also important in terms of timing. When people are looking to move their house, remove things from their house or move to a different house, it's a very specific thing that they're going to search in Google when looking for those services. And if you're at the top of the search engine results pages, you're going to get the business right as that timing makes sense. And then also just to touch upon the renovations business is huge as well. If we look at some of the average costs of renovations, new gas supply, £1,500, new heating system, £5,500. Then we're looking at all the way up to replastering ceilings and walls, up to £12,000. And this is from Checkatrade 2021 statistics. It's amazing how much value and potential business can be acquired just from being positioned well in the search engine results pages. Key industry number 2, restaurants, cafes, and takeaways. Okay, so this space has dramatically changed over the last few years. We've seen with the pandemic how important digital has been for the survival of local restaurants, cafes, and this initiative to move from just being a sit and dine restaurant into ordering and takeout and platforms such as Just Eat, Uber Eats, Deliveroo, all making the part into helping these businesses survive. So if you're in this niche right now, you're in the restaurant space, you're in the food industry, you've been hit hard over the last few years and you understand how important it's been to have these digital solutions. Another important factor to consider for restaurants, cafes, and takeaways is how important it is in terms of personal research before somebody makes a purchase. Now, these platforms, Just Eat, that's what they do well. The person can see in terms of areas of sensitivity. What does the business look like? What does your food, your restaurant, your cafe look like visually? And does it look attractive? What hygiene score have you got for your restaurant? What's the food quality? Is it value for money? The appearance of the premise, as I've just touched on, customer service in terms of reviews, what deals and promotions, that all play a part in the consumer making a decision to order food from your place over the next takeaway or the next restaurant. So all these factors need to be optimized across the board. And if there is something that you can leverage, maybe you've got a 5 out of 5 hygiene score, maybe you've got a beautiful premise and you've got great seating area, this all needs to be digitally packaged and then displayed across these different platforms and on your own website as well. Just a side note on that, the Just Eat app, for example, has gone from 286 million to 588 million partnerships within a single year, and that was over the pandemic, which just shows how dramatic that shift in consumer behavior has been, with this almost doubling over the last year from 38 million to 60 million users as well. So it's not just the partnerships that are doubling up, it's the consumers that are using these platforms as well. And with all marketing, you want to go where your consumers are. And then the final industry that we're going to touch upon today is online businesses and e-commerce businesses. if you're digitally dependent and 90% of your business right now is from website orders and from direct inquiries through your website, then of course SEO is going to be more important for your industry than just the average retail store. So an important statistic for the e-commerce types and the online businesses is that organic traffic accounted for 53% of all website traffic just over in 2021. So we can see that this was at 43% in 2019, and it was only at 37.5% in 2017. So it shows a clear trend year on year. Organic traffic is becoming more and more prominent to getting eyeballs onto your website. Okay, so just some final thoughts on what industries need SEO the most in 2022. If you're the type of business that I've mentioned today and you're considering SEO, have a relook over the reasoning why. But if you're not, more importantly, and you're thinking, SEO could still benefit me, of course it can. This is not to limit SEO just to these specific industries, but it's just important to note that there are some industries where they've got high lifetime value clients. There's higher opportunity cost in terms of not being in the search engine results is costing you money because the value of one client is so high to your business. And then there's also other factors like the fact that medical professionals and food and people in the food industry, there's a lot of consumer research that goes in and DIY investigating before they even interact with your business. People want to see reviews. They want to see what your medical practice looks like before they go for a visitation. They want to see the reviews for food. They want to see what your store looks like in your dining area. And all of this is getting more and more prominent. So hopefully you've enjoyed today's video. And if you did like it, if you can give it a like, feel free to subscribe. And if you want access to the full blog where we go in detail and break this down word for word, the link is in the description below. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.